Welcome to Trump Wire, your trusted source for breaking headlines, global insights, and sharp analysis from around the world. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. The year is 2025. Donald Trump is back in the White House, and the world is on edge. His return has upended global diplomacy, with Russia and China moving quickly to test the new administration. Old alliances are being questioned, and every move is under intense scrutiny. Instead of waiting, Moscow and Beijing are making bold military and economic moves, challenging the US from day one. The world is watching a high-stakes chess match, with aggressive opening moves and no clear rules. At home and abroad, reactions are deeply divided, and the administration faces immediate complex crises. Will Trump's America First doctrine strengthen the US, or leave it isolated when unity is needed most? The early days of this presidency are setting the tone for years to come. The stakes are enormous, and the world holds its breath. Vladimir Putin wastes no time. Russian forces ramp up military drills near NATO borders, sending a clear message. Russia is ready to challenge the post-Cold War order. The Kremlin's strategy is multi-layered: military pressure, cyber attacks on US infrastructure, and a relentless propaganda campaign. Sophisticated cyber operations probe American power grids and financial systems, creating a constant sense of vulnerability. Russian officials issue public warnings, blaming Washington for instability and painting Russia as a stabilizing force. State media amplifies this narrative, sowing doubt among US allies and fueling divisions within NATO. The goal: isolate the United States and weaken its alliances. President Trump faces threats on multiple fronts, forced to respond to both visible and invisible attacks. Russia's approach is classic controlled chaos: military brinkmanship, cyber warfare, and information operations all at once. The administration must decide: escalate, negotiate, or risk being outmaneuvered. The world watches as the US scrambles to mount an effective response. The stakes are high, and the margin for error is razor thin. Every move is calculated to test American resolve. The Kremlin is betting that Trump's focus on domestic issues will leave the US flat-footed. The challenge is clear: can the administration counter Russia's multi-pronged assault? The answer will define the new era of US-Russia relations. Meanwhile, China pursues its own strategy: economic pressure and military expansion. Beijing imposes targeted trade restrictions on key US goods, hitting politically sensitive sectors. In the South China Sea, Chinese naval patrols grow bolder, directly challenging US and allied ships. These moves signal China's ambition to dominate Asia and test American resolve. Chinese diplomats and state media criticize Trump's policies, framing China as a champion of free trade and global stability. This narrative appeals to nations wary of US unilateralism, helping Beijing build new alliances. China's approach is nuanced: economic interdependence as leverage, military power as deterrence. Washington faces a dilemma: sanction China and risk economic pain, or hold back and appear weak. Beijing uses its economic might as both shield and sword, complicating any US response. The Trump administration is caught in a bind, with no easy answers. China's dual strategy, hard and soft power, puts the US on the defensive. The global balance is shifting, and the stakes are higher than ever. President Trump publicly dismisses Russian and Chinese threats as fake news, blaming the media and political opponents for stoking fear. Behind the scenes, however, his administration pursues unconventional diplomacy. In a surprise move, Trump reaches out to Belarus's Alexander Lukashenko, sending a personal gift and holding a direct call. The goal: bypass traditional channels and gain insight into Putin's thinking through Russia's closest ally. Keith Kellogg, Trump's envoy, champions this back channel, arguing it could provide valuable intelligence. It's a high-risk, high-reward gambit: personal rapport over protocol, pragmatism over ideology. Trump's dual approach, public bravado, private maneuvering, keeps adversaries guessing and options open. Under pressure abroad, Trump pivots to technology at home, convening a high-profile summit with Silicon Valley's top CEOs. The mission forged a public-private partnership to secure U.S. dominance in artificial intelligence, seen as the key to future power. Tech giants pledge massive investments. Apple and Meta each commit $600 billion to U.S. manufacturing and digital infrastructure. The administration touts this as the largest infrastructure push in history, linking tech innovation to national security and job creation. Trump's focus on AI serves as both a domestic rallying cry and a direct answer to China's ambitions. By mobilizing private sector talent, the U.S. opens a new front in the global power race. The strategy: win the future through technological and economic superiority, not just military might. In the chess game of global politics, Belarus becomes an unexpected piece. Isolated by the West and dependent on Russia, Lukashenko suddenly finds himself courted by Washington. Trump's outreach is direct and personal: cufflinks, a phone call, and a new line of communication. The administration sees Lukashenko as a potential source of leverage and intelligence on Putin. The goal isn't friendship, but strategic advantage, using Lukashenko's unique position to gain insight into Moscow. For Lukashenko, U.S. attention offers a chance to regain maneuverability and play East against West. It's a transactional, pragmatic approach, principles set aside for potential strategic gain. Both sides know the risks, but the incentives are too great to ignore. Lukashenko walks a dangerous line, reliant on Russia, but signaling openness to the West. In a bold move, he invites U.S. officers to observe joint war games with Russia, a rare gesture of transparency. He claims Belarus intercepted Russian drones targeting Poland, trying to show independence from Moscow. Years of sanctions have battered Belarus's economy, causing shortages and a mass exodus of workers. The West responds cautiously: partial sanctions relief for small reforms, but wary of rewarding repression. Lukashenko's overtures are driven by desperation, but also by a desire to avoid total dependence on Russia. The dilemma for the US and EU: engage and risk legitimizing a dictator, or hold back and watch Belarus slip further into Moscow's orbit. The stakes for Belarus and the region are higher than ever. America's allies are anxious. In Europe, Russian military drills and cyber attacks spark calls for greater NATO unity and defense spending. European leaders welcome US resolve, but worry about Trump's unpredictable transactional style. The outreach to Belarus catches many off guard, fueling uncertainty about US intentions. In Asia, Japan and South Korea watch China's military expansion with growing alarm, seeking reassurances from Washington. Their economies are tied to China, but their security depends on the US, a delicate balancing act. Memories of trade wars and tough negotiations linger, making allies wary of being caught in the crossfire. Both regions face a strategic dilemma: how to maintain security and prosperity amid great power rivalry. The old certainties are gone, replaced by anxiety and improvisation. The world's alliances are being tested as never before. By late 2025, the world faces a new era of great power competition: volatile, multipolar, and unpredictable. Russia and China push boundaries, while Trump's unconventional approach leaves allies and adversaries guessing. The risk of miscalculation is high. The old rules no longer apply. Yet, America's domestic focus on AI could spark a new wave of innovation and global leverage. Unconventional diplomacy, like the Belarus gambit, might open doors to de-escalation or backfire spectacularly. The choices made now in Washington, Moscow, and Beijing will shape the world for generations. Will competition be managed, or will conflict define the future? One thing is certain: the global order is being rewritten before our eyes.